today. Oh yeah, hope on for tomorrow. Good enough today.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Good Enough Today, the podcast where we share stories of people showing up just as who they are in their own spaces, even when life gets messy. I'm your host, Cheremma Lee, and today we have a very, very special guest. She's a mother, a daughter, a sister, a friend, and an overall amazing person, if I shall say so myself. This is Janice Lee. Welcome, welcome, welcome,
Thank
Janice.
you.
Full disclaimer, this is my mom. And I'm so happy to have her on the show. All right, Ma. So when we start every show, we start out with our PEM. How are you feeling today? Physically, emotionally, and mentally on a scale from 1 to 10 for each.
Physically, I'd say about an 8.
Okay. Emotionally.
Emotionally, I say 6 to 7.
Okay. And then mentally.
Mentally, I think I'm at a 9.
Oh, okay. Well, she got me beat. She's got me beat. All right. So before we get into your story and everything that's going on, tell me something that is giving you joy right now.
Being a grandmother, that is the greatest joy in the world, is being a grandmother. If you could skip parenting to be the grandparent, that would be the awesome thing. But I guess we wouldn't have any grandkids if we didn't have the kids. So.
I think that's called being an auntie, and I appreciate that. I think I appreciate that quite a bit. So I guess you have been listening to Good Enough Today, right?
Yes, ma'am. Every podcast, and I love it.
And my mom is my greatest fan, so I appreciate that. And as you can see, we have a pretty good relationship. Your mom is always the person that can get on your best nerve, but also
yes.
But also I appreciate my mom for always being there. So, Mom, you told me, Cheremma, I want to be on your podcast.
Yes.
And when your mom tells you that she wants to do something, you go ahead and do it. But I think your story is interesting, and you wanted to talk a little bit about grief. Is that true?
Correct.
Okay. All right. And so, why did you want to talk about grief?
Because grief is something that we all go through,
Mm-hmm.
and we deal with it differently. I think the point that I really wanted to talk about was the grief while you're going through, and not so much at the end.
Okay. All right. So let's talk a little bit about, because I always think that this is kind of an amazing story, and I'm biased because I have heard the story. I've lived some of the story, right?
Yes.
And so tell me a little bit about your experience with grief.
Okay. Just like I'm your biggest fan,
Mm-hmm.
my grandmother on my mom's side was my biggest fan.
Mm-hmm.
And she died when I was 14.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought my world was going to end. And I realized that after trying to walk in traffic and get hit and nobody would run over me, that I realized that, you know what, you have a life out there to live,
Mm-hmm.
and there's another purpose for you. But then when my mom got sick,
Mm-hmm.
I was living in California with my babies. I
Mm-hmm.
had 2 of them already. And then I had you. She came out for the first week after I had you, and it was such a joy having her there. And then in November, it was early December, she called me.
Mm-hmm.
She told me that she had cancer again. She had cancer when I was 15 years old, but this time she had lung cancer. And she said, so we went home. You and me, you probably don't remember, but we flew out to Austin. We flew back to Austin, and we came home and we visited and we stayed. And then your dad drove down and we went back home. Well, Sheila called me. I guess it was, but Sheila's my little sister at the home. At the time, she was at home with my mom and dad. She called me and she said, they've said that there's nothing else that they can do for mom, that it's just a matter of time. So at this time, you wasn't even a year old yet.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to make a decision. I had a full-time job, had 3 babies to care for. Luckily, it was almost at the end of school because Niecy was the only one that was in a real grade. Christy was in kindergarten, so she could miss school. So we went to school, got all of Niecy's homework and everything they needed. And so I told my boss I was leaving. And of course, the job wanted to know, well, when you coming back? I say, I'll be back when it's all over. So we left in April. And we went home. And when we got there, my mom was in a weakened state. She had a doctor's appointment, and her and Christy was holding hands walking down the steps, and she fell. I grabbed her before she hit the ground. I didn't even know. I was only weighing 109 pounds, y'all. I picked my mom up and carried her back up about 8 steps and put her back in the house. And at that time, we found out that the cancer had spread to her bones. So as May came into play, you have to understand that Sheila's birthday is May 19th. My brother, Clarence Carter Jr., which we call Papa, his birthday is May 20th. My mom was on morphine, and they had the drip, and we could push it. We often think that we can give them too much morphine. We don't want to do anything. My mom was a smoker. And so we had taken all the cigarettes and everything out of the house. So there was no cigarette butts, nothing in the house, and no cigarettes. And so she was on morphine the day, and I kept praying. At first, you pray for your mom to be healed. But then I knew that there was nothing that on earth we could do. I started praying for my mom to die. Initially, I felt guilty because I was like, how can I pray for the Lord to take her? But when you watch someone suffering, especially a loved one, and there's nothing, no kind of comfort you can give them. The morphine wasn't working. Nothing was working. And at that time, morphine was one of the strongest things you could give people. And it wasn't working. So I just prayed. But then I prayed, Lord, please don't let her die on the 19th or the 20th. Let me back up just a little bit. Now, the one thing that Sheila and I did, Mother's Day, we all went to the mall, me, you, Niecy, Christy, and Sheila, to get my mom. At the time back then, they say you should bury your mothers in a gown. So Sheila and I went to the mall to find a gown for my mom to be buried in, and we were going to let her decide which one she chose.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So we went to the mall. We came back. We brought the gowns. We showed her. She indicated which one she wanted. And I think Sheila may have the other one today. I'm not sure. But she told us what gown she wanted to be buried in. So it was okay. We'll do that. So again, like I said, I was praying, Lord, please let my mom go. Let her go. She suffered so much, and there's nothing that I can do to physically help her. Nobody can. And so initially it was guilt. I was like, how can you be praying for your mama to die? Are you crazy? And I was like, no, you're not crazy. That's God's grace to ask for him to take someone out of misery. So I felt better about myself after that. I was like, okay, Lord, just don't let her die on the 19th or 20th. And the reason why I asked that prayer was because my dad's mom died on his birthday. And it took him years to celebrate his birthday again. But, and so the day my mom died, we was all there, and your dad had drove down from California. And so it's kind of funny. You get a feeling, you can tell if you've ever been around someone that died. And I did see my grandmother die, and I had seen my aunt and other people die. So I had seen death before. So we knew the signs of what was going to happen when my mom started to transition. And she was start talking about that, she saw the man in the white coat, and she saw her mom, and she saw these people, and she started reaching. Initially, we kept putting her hand down. And so they said, what are you reaching for? She said, that man, don't y'all see him? Of course, we didn't see him. And we was praying to good Lord, we didn't see him. But what happened was, at that day, she was a jokester. She was just a jokester. And so we tried to get her to take her medicine. She bit Sheila. She bit me.
Feisty.
She was very feisty. And so we was playing around. So everybody left except it was me and Sheila, my oldest sister, Nip, her husband, Lee, Dawn, and Daddy, Vaughn had came to got y'all to take y'all over to Big Mama, so y'all wasn't there. And that evening, as she took her last breath, I was thankful. I said, thank you, Lord, that you answered our prayer, my prayer. And I just had peace and joy because there was no more suffering. So a couple of weeks ago, one of my Eastern Star sisters.
Well, hold on. Before we get into that, let's talk a little bit about where we are. Your mom. So did your mom pass away?
My mom passed away. But let me tell on May 23rd.
Yes. Okay. So it wasn't on the 19th or the 20th.
It wasn't on the 19th or the 20th. She chose her own day on May 23rd. It was probably around 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. She passed. And when she died, I refused to leave the room.
Okay.
And I stayed in the room even when the funeral home came to take her body. Everybody told me, Janice, leave. I had a little stubborn streak in me. I said, no, I'm going to stay right here. Biggest mistake. Biggest mistake. What we don't realize is at that time when that happens, their body is lifeless. They put them in a bag, they zip them up, they threw on a gurney. And I got mad at them. I started saying some stuff to them. That's my mama. You don't treat her like that. And they just kind of looked at me and, kind of, so I guess they said this one was grieving, so I'm not going to bother her. But like I said, there was so much joy and relief and calmness that I couldn't believe that I felt that way, but I did.
Okay, so let's set the scene here, because at that point you were 26?
26.
Okay, so you're 26. Your mom passes away. You have a 11-month-old or a 10-month-old?
You were, let me see, she died in May. You didn't turn 1 until July, so you was 10 months.
10 months, and then you have a
2-year-old. Well, okay. You're 3.
3-year-old. 3-year-old, and then you have a 6-year-old.
Yes. No, 3.
She wasn't 7 yet.
5, 3, 5, 7 years. She was 7.
Okay, so she was 7. So you have a 10-month-old, a 3-year-old, and a 7-year-old. And your life is in California.
Yes.
And your mom passes away in Texas, which is your home in Austin, Texas. And so from that point, what do you do?
Well, what you do is...
Well, what did you do?
What did I do? After the funeral, I packed up my family. Like I say on the Beverly Hillbillies, and I moved to Beverly. No, and I went back to California. At that time, you don't really have a sense of, I guess it's kind of like you go to a job. When you get halfway to your job, you go into that job mode. And when you come out from that job, you go into your home mode.
Right.
Well, this is the point where I had to go from the grieving daughter to the mother, wife, and everything else to my children.
Right.
Because y'all needed care, and there was no one going to be there. Because there's no family in California but us. And so I went back to who I was. I had a plant that my job had sent me to the funeral. Back then, you could carry stuff to the airport, but we drove back. So I brought the plant back that they had given me from my job. And that plant took care of itself for several years. But you just go back to your life. You go back, people ask you, well, how are you doing? I went back as they said, you're acting like nothing had happened. I hurt. People tell you all the time that it'll get better as time go by. You cope a little better as time go by. Birthdays, not necessarily yours, things that she would have been a part of. My children's birthdays, my children's graduations, my kids' weddings, important parts in your life, you wish they were there. And that always stings a little bit. But I think back to just the joy I had as a child with her. The memories are so fresh and free, as they say, but I just loved.
So we're thinking of 26-year-old Janice. We're back in California because my dad was in the military. That makes sense as to why we were in California. Yes. And so you are being that mother and you're going through this. What did grief look like for you then?
Grief looked like getting up, getting my kids out of the door to go to school, go to work, and come back home and start all over again. Grief was not like sitting around moping. You don't have time for that. You go into whatever channel it is that you have to go into. You go to the next step. And if it had not been for the Lord on my side, like they say, I don't know how people make it without God. It was just God's ability to keep me going. And so he did. Life just went back to the way it was. You know, I went to work, took care of the kids. Everything just happened the way it was. There was moments that you still cry today. I find myself, thinking about my mom or my dad, and you just when you one day sitting up there and all of a sudden you start crying, you be like, "What you crying for?" But y'all say I'm a titty baby anyway. But you just cry sometimes. But it's hard. It's hard to explain it in a way that I think people may understand. But you just go back to doing life.
So some people don't go back to doing life, right? And so with some people, it's very, very difficult, and there are hard times when you're crying. Did you ever find yourself in a part where you were so sad that you didn't think, or you didn't know how you were going to keep going?
Not with my mom.
Okay.
With my grandmother when I was 14, yes. With my mom, I guess because of the fact that I had lived away from home, so I wasn't there every day to see her all the time. So that made a difference in having a different life. Now, if I had been here in Austin when that happened, it may have been totally different. I may have spent more time grieving in a sense because I'd had a support for my children and family. So then I would have had somebody that they could go to and I could be by myself. But I didn't have time for that. I had you. You was up there looking out the door one day. Next day I saw you outside playing, and I had to keep up with you. So no, I didn't have time to really sit back. And yes, I do understand that there are people that can't cope with the loss of a mother, a parent, or anybody. It's really hard for them to transition back into life. All I can say is, but God, to be honest, I really can't explain it any different than that. I'm gonna go off track just a tinge. It was years before my mom got sick and died. We was going through some stuff, and I prayed. I got down on my knees and I asked God to relieve the burden, because there was a heavy burden in my chest from not from grief, but just from things going on in life. And I asked God to release me from the heaviness I had in my heart. When I got up off the floor, it was gone. And I've never felt it since. I did grieve over my dad, over my mother-in-law. And I grieve over people. I love them. But I know they're in a much better place. So I have joy. And I guess because I just try to make sure that I'm a living example of what I think God wants me to be. I think my purpose in life is to help everybody.
Everybody. And
Yes.
I don't know. You have to,
that's another podcast.
Yes. You have to hone in a little bit on who you're helping. So do you think that going through the loss of your grandmother made it easier for you to go through the loss with your mom? Or was it just, how do you think that impacted you?
That's a good question. I think the difference is because my mom worked, so I was with my grandmother. We stayed with my grandmother every day. So it was like my grandmother was my mother. I mean, mama picked us up in the evening and took us home. We stayed up the street from Big Mama. So me and Papa would always go to Big Mama's house. So we spent and Mama was always there too. So I spent a lot more time with my grandmother in those 14 years than I can say that I really spent with my mom, because after I got into middle school and, got my little boyfriend at 13, I figured I didn't need to spend time with mama. So things change. It's different. It was a different relationship.
Okay. And so you mentioned that with your grandma passing, you felt like there's no way to go on. And so you were very young then, right? 14.
I was 14.
What do you think made you keep going?
It was knowing too that I had some kind of purpose in life.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what my purpose in life was. But I wasn't, seriously, after I didn't get ran over by the cars and stuff, after walking in traffic, I figured I was supposed to live.
So you had to test God to see if
I had to test. If I had, see, y'all wouldn't be here today if I had.
Well, I do
succeeded.
appreciate that, God. So I think that one of the things that we should talk about is because you mentioned that grief doesn't get easier, you just cope with it a little bit better. Because I remember, so I was very young, but we remember Mother's Day, right? So Mother's Day when we were younger was a very, very difficult day for you.
Yes.
And so it was always kind of bittersweet because like, well, Mom's gonna be sad on Mother's Day, right? And so oh my gosh, I would hate going to church on Mother's Day because it was every Mother's Day they play Shirley Caesar's I Remember Mama. And I was like, I don't know why it comes on. I promise you that's the most dangerous drive because you would be in there and you're crying and you're shouting and we're just looking at each other like, okay,
are we gonna make it?
Are we gonna make it, right? Because it's like, and I could probably sing that song to this day because we'd be like, uh-oh, here it comes, right? And so our experience with your grief was always a little bit different because it was like, okay, well, Mother's Day it's bittersweet. We want to celebrate you as a mom. But then Mom doesn't have a mom to actually celebrate. And so how was that experience from your perspective? Because from my perspective, it'd be like, well, we're trying to make you happy, right?
Yes.
We would cook you whatever we could cook.
Y'all
and at
did.
that time, I don't know if you should have eaten that stuff.
I did.
You did. I don't know if you should have, but as we got older, it got better. But, we try to buy you little gifts or make you what we could to try to make you happy on Mother's Day. So how was your experience?
Mother's Day was a hard time. Sometimes it still is today. Mother's Day was hard because I didn't have my mother. And it was hard in the sense that because I couldn't call her and say Happy Mother's Day, send her a gift or whatever. But one of the things my mom always told us was that you give me my flowers while I'm living. Because when I'm dead, I can't smell them. And I take that not only with literally taking flowers and giving them to someone. Tell them people how you feel about them. Tell them that you love them. Let them know by your actions that you love them. And so, yes, it was a sad time because of the fact that I didn't have my mom. Excuse me, but it was, and going to church did trigger a lot of circles. Growing up, that's all we did was spend time in church on Sundays from 11 o'clock to 11 o'clock, from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. But
yes, I'm aware.
But the thing of it is that after that church was over, I had to put on a different role. I had to become back mama. For those few hours while we were in church, I could allow myself to grieve. And even though y'all were there and y'all saw me go through the emotions, and it was always because of the fact that mom always took me to church. And so as time went on, it got a little easier on Mother's Day. But it's still difficult sometimes.
I don't know. I think maybe the radio stopped playing that song for Shirley Caesar's song. I think as we got a little bit away from that.
That probably helped some.
That might have helped a little bit because, oh my goodness, I promise every Mother's Day we were like, oh, okay. Now we're talking about, years ago, and then now you're at a place that you don't have your mom or your dad, right? And I think about it from my perspective, when I was 26, right, I was probably graduated from law school, Lord knows what I was doing, right? Because I'm that person. But I think about the times where I have been doing something and called you and been like, or most of the time I'm calling to talk crazy about something like, what happened?
For real.
This is what I'm going to do. Like, nah, Cheremma, I don't think that's what you're gonna do. You can do a lot of things, but maybe don't do that, right? But or like getting sick somewhere, like, hey mom, I'm out here. What am I supposed to do? Right. I didn't have a lot of the dumb questions, right?
Yeah.
Because you gave us a lot of foundation to not have those, but just working through that, or I'm in a hurricane in
Yeah.
Atlanta, or my car is breaking down, and those kinds of things. How did you go through from 26 to
65, huh?
65 going through life? And I'm always so grateful that I still have you, and I know there are so many people who don't. Like, how do you kind of fill that void?
Well, God places people in your path.
Mm-hmm.
And there were people that I worked with. There was a lady, her name was, I'll never forget it, Elizabeth Dees.
Mm-hmm.
Because I did have to have some major surgery.
Mm-hmm.
And she knew that it was not too long. It was after it was a year after my mom died. And she says, I will go to the hospital with you because I know you don't have your mother to be able to come with you.
Mm-hmm.
And she did come up there with me. And so God places people in your pathway that will help you. So when I couldn't call my mama to ask about a recipe, I called Mama Sue, which is my oldest sister and brother's mother. And thanks be to God, she's still here with us today. But I called her. I called Ann, which is Big Mama. I called her. And but God just places people in your pathway to help you along the way. I encounter people all through life that have shared wisdom and knowledge with me and was willing to stand in the gap. And I know y'all are crazy. Y'all say I don't have friends.
No,
I do have friends that have talk me off the edge sometimes. My friend Regina, she and I have talked a lot about a lot of things. And so when you have good people in your life that you know that you can trust and build close relationships with, even though you may not talk to them for months, maybe even years. But when you do pick up that phone and call them, just like I tell you, you ain't gonna do that. She'll be like, Janice, sit your butt down. You ain't doing that. But so yeah, but now that having people in your path, God places people in your life for a reason.
So I think that's something that we've I've heard quite a bit is about the community that you build, right? Regardless of if you're going through a health issue, grief, financial issues, right? It's the community that you build. How do you find these people? And I say this, and let me just do a disclaimer that my mom just talks to people. I am the opposite of that. And maybe this is why I'm the opposite of that.
I am totally extrovert. I'll talk to that wall over there if it'll listen.
Yes, she will. She will. And so you talk to these people. And so how do you know who to ask for help or who to ask the question?
It's kind of funny. People will sit down and just start talking to you and tell you all about their life, and you listen, and then from there you build relationships with them. I have very few friends. I say my kids and my husband are my friends. I always tell people about you, about how when you used to go to football games and stuff with me, and then you told me when you was 15, you said you got to find your own friends. I'm not hanging out with you no more. So there have been people that God have just placed in my life strategically. I really don't know. Like I said, I'll talk to anybody. But it's just like a sense of knowing who you can trust and who you can talk to. And my mother-in-law, which was one of my best friends, her, Mama Sue, if I needed motherly advice, I could call and ask them. And even some of the other people that have been in my life that people didn't understand why I would even talk to them, I asked them questions too.
So now as you get older, does grief look different? Because you not only start to lose both of your parents and then friends, right? And things like that. So what's your perspective on grief now?
You know what I think about with grief now? I think more so about what's going to happen to y'all if I'm not here?
Mm-hmm.
What if the Lord is going to allow me to see Donnie grow up like he did with Jaden?
Mm-hmm.
What my life can be like that y'all can remember me for, and be proud to say, that's my mama.
Mm-hmm.
She did this, she did that. I know you think I do too much for other people, and I make your daddy do other stuff for other people.
Yes.
But that's my purpose here,
mm-hmm.
is to be there for other people, because life is a test,
Mm-hmm.
but God turns it into a testimony.
Oh, here she goes.
No, seriously, because no matter what you're going through, I always tell myself, I'm not going through this because of me.
Mm-hmm.
It's not because I need to go through this. It's because someone down the line, I don't know if it's weeks, months, years,
mm-hmm.
somebody's going to be going through what I've gone through, and I'm going to have to help them get through.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever I'm going through right now, I'm going through. It's not going to last.
So you listened to the podcast, right?
I did.
And
I do.
So I think that you've heard about this like crumb of hope, or just a little bit of hope that you have in those moments for you. So for you, is that hope knowing that maybe this can help someone else?
Yeah. Yep. That's my hope, that no matter how hard it is for me, I'm going to get through it.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, I'm going to get through it because y'all are there.
Mm-hmm.
And Don, I just want to go back to when my grandmother, one thing about when my grandmother died, the day she died and I didn't get hit by a car, I was on my way going up to Don them's house.
Mm-hmm.
His niece Doris and I was best friends back then. Her and Teddy and Kenny, which was 1 year old at the time,
Mm-hmm.
walked to meet me. And so Don was at the house and he was with all his friends. Doris told him that my grandmother died. He made all of them leave.
Mm-hmm.
And we became closer that day.
Mm-hmm.
And here we are 52 years later, still
right
together.
So I guess we should give a little backstory. So my mom and my dad have been together since they were in diapers, evidently. No, but since they were what, 13?
I was 13, he was 14.
Okay, so since then. And so my dad has been there through, I guess, all the iterations of this, and you've been there for him through all the iterations of who you guys have grown to be. And that's also one of the reasons, of course, that my grandma, my paternal grandma, Big Mama, was Big Mama for everybody. And you used to do so much for Big Mama, right? And that was the Christmas shopping, or making sure that she was okay, make sure she had her medicines and things like that. Can you talk? Some people don't have like a mother-in-law where they can actually talk to and have that relationship with. You talk a little bit about that relationship.
Let me tell you something, to be honest. I'm with Dawn today because I didn't want to lose Ann. Now, there was times, you get mad at your spouse, or you get mad at your boyfriend, you want to quit them. But I knew that if I quit Dawn, I'd have to quit Ann. I wasn't giving up Ann. Ann was a jewel. I loved her. I used to sit and listen to, especially in the military, the wives talk about their mother-in-law. And I couldn't believe. I was like, Ann she just was a special person. And I always think back to, I want to treat everybody like I would want someone to treat my mom or my daughters, or somebody in my family. I would want them to treat. So I try to treat everybody that way. But Ann was just, I loved her, and that's all it was. I'd do anything in the world for her. I would do anything in the world, and I try to, because I loved her. So she was a good friend.
Well, at first, I want to clarify a few things. You mentioned us saying that you don't have friends. That's because my mom thinks everybody's her friend. We're like, you gotta have levels of these friends, right? Like, you met them yesterday. That's not your friend. You might have a friend that has actually been there and going through some things. So you might have some friends, but just not all the people that you call friends are friends. Just want to clarify that part. But so now, if you were talking to someone who is just beginning this portion of grief, what would you tell them?
I would tell them to hold on. to God. I would pray that they are a child of God. And if they wasn't, I really would talk to them about giving their life to Christ. I just don't understand how people live without Christ. And I would tell them, I can't tell you that you're not going to cry, because there's going to be days you're going to be sitting up, you're going to be doing whatever you're doing. You may bust out crying. You ain't going to know why. You just going to cry. And that's okay. Cry. And I always tell people 24/7, 365, call me.
Yes.
If you want to talk, if you want to cuss somebody out, if you want to yell at somebody, any emotions you're going through, call me. Simply because I'm not going to take it personal. Because I know that you're just going through. But at this stage, I tell you, it's hard. It's hard to lose a mother. It's hard to lose a father. And I've lost mother, father, sister, brother, grandparents. It's hard. And I used to sit and think about the fact that I was 26 when my mom died. And a few months ago, I was thinking about that. I said, you sitting around here moping to myself about your mom dying when you were 26. Do you realize you was 26 years old when your mom died? There's people that have never seen their mother because they died during childbirth. Or they died when they were little. If you don't straighten your attitude up, so I have these real deep conversations with myself.
Well, I feel like both of those are still valid, though, right? I think that it's still valid for you to be able to grieve and feel some anger towards the fact that you lost your mom at 26, even though those people might not have had that same experience, right? So I think that both of those can be valid. That's one way to go ahead and push yourself forward, right?
Yes.
To say, you know what, it's not as bad as you're thinking. But I think that, to feel the feeling is what you said you did. I felt the feeling. And then I said, okay, let's give myself some perspective. And then let me push forward. And I think that is something that is relevant to everybody's experience and what they're going through. The other thing that I wanted to touch back on again, because I keep hearing this theme about community. And you being there for people to call you 24/7, 365. Please don't do that. Like maybe 23 hours out of the day or something.
Because I'm going to wake Dawn up and take me wherever I'm trying to go.
Yes, my poor dad. It's good. But yeah, so, what about the people? What would you say for those people? Because you can't be the community for everyone, right? What about those people who feel like they don't have anybody? Because you were in California. Let's say you're in California.
Yes.
You're with your kids. Dad's deployed, right? And you're in here. You're just going through life trying to survive. What about those people who are in that moment then?
There was a group of us. I had a friend downstairs that lived underneath me. One lived aside or down the little. We was all in the cul-de-sac. There was one across the walkway, two across the walkway. So we were all close. So, and they all had met my mom and everything when she came to California. So all of them knew her. So we just all kind of rallied together. You just, like I said, God places people. And when you don't have anybody, you become family with those people. Holidays and everything, you do it with those same people, because none of y'all have family, especially military people, don't have a real family. So y'all become family for each other.
And so you're from a day and age. I say that from a day and age, the
yes,
the mid 1900s, where you guys didn't really believe in going to therapy, right? There was not like a grief counseling. So like, what did you guys do? Like, who was the support system aside? Like, what did that look like back then?
Well, you just, I guess in a sense, like you tell me something, suck it up. You just kind of go on with life. And I'm not saying that was a good thing, because, in our culture, it was a long time before we felt that was something that we should do. And it is something that we needed and we probably should have gone through. That's probably why a lot of people can't cope today is because of the trauma they went through as a child.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing of it is that I really don't know. I had family. My mother was such a family oriented person,
Mm-hmm.
whether it was her side of the family, my dad's side of the family, cousins she found. You say you ain't got no cousins. My mama found the
First
cousins.
off, I didn't say I don't have cousins. I just don't have new cousins. These new cousins that I've never met. These cousins are not my cousins. The ones that I've been knowing, you know who you are. Those are my cousins. These new cousins, nah, you guys have never been around. I don't know you. But I think that it's important for us to acknowledge the differences, because I feel like me now, but you know, one of the things that you weren't, even though therapy and things weren't something that you would have done when you were younger or went through, you were still open for like finding us help and stuff like that. Like, hey, something going on, you go talk to somebody or something.
Yes.
And so what made you be more open to it than what you would have seen when you were growing up?
I think what made me more aware of it was that, first of all, I've always wanted to give y'all more than what we had.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying we had, because I think we had the greatest childhood ever.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that there's some things that your parents can't do for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I'm going to have to be honest and just level up with this one. You've been my counselor since you was a little girl. Where your wisdom came from. I always say you was reincarnated from mom. And then my mom died after you were born, and my grandmother died before. But you have so much wisdom, and it was just you all kept me going. To be honest, I can't say it's, but I knew that if it was something going on with you that I could not do, somebody could help you.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to give y'all more opportunities and more to let you know that there's something out there that can help, not to be afraid to seek out help.
Would you say that, what I'm hearing you say is that we were your why? That was your reason to keep going. And maybe sometimes that why might be a little small thing, and that just hold on to the why, and that helps.
It does. I mean, you have to find a why. And it could be, people always say, don't do your job. It could be your job. It could be, your nieces and nephews, your cousins. It can be a stranger. But find a why and make that why bigger than you.
Mm-hmm.
And my greatest thing to me was to see my girls grow up and for y'all to graduate high school.
Mm-hmm.
Now, neither your dad nor I either went to college. Now, all of y'all going to college and graduating college, and you going on law school and all this kind of stuff, math and all this kind of stuff. But you know what? That was just icing on the cake. God did for me what I asked for him to do, was to let me live long enough to see all of my kids grown and old enough to be able to take care of themselves. That was my prayer after my mom died.
Mm-hmm. So this is interesting because a lot of people, I turned 40 this year, and a lot of people are like, well, how do you feel about being 40? And I was like, well, I don't really have a feeling about being 40, right? Like I'm not like, oh, I'm about to die, right? But I do recall when you were younger, you just wanted to make it to 40. So you're 25 when you had me. So I guess I would probably start seeing this when you're about 27, where I could actually, you're like, I want to make it to 40 because your siblings hadn't made it to 40.
That's correct. My oldest brother died at the age of 35. My oldest sister died at the age of 39.
Mm-hmm. So those are your maternal siblings?
Yes, my maternal siblings.
Okay.
And I was skeptical because they did die early. Now, that was something that it didn't grieve me, but it did bother me. I was like, Lord, please let me live to see. So when I made 35, I was like, oh, thank you, Lord. Then when I made 39, I was thankful. Then my next age was 50. My mom died when she was 50 years old. And I was like, oh, Lord, let me see 50. So, and one thing my dad always says, any day above ground, you can change anything going on in your life. So every day people be like, girl, you tell people how old you are. Yes. Yes. I'm going to tell you how old I am and how old I'll be. Hopefully. Yes, that's a blessing.
I think that attitude has really made it the same for me. I'm like, well, I'm alive.
Thank you.
I'm happy because the alternative isn't that great.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
I think that is something that is important. Now, when we talk about, so I got to be respectful of your time. When we think about grief today, or people that are grieving today, what's something that you would tell someone who has just freshly lost someone?
I would tell them, it's not going to be easy, but it is possible.
Mm-hmm.
Don't give up hope. If you have a glimmer, like I said, crumb of hope, you can make it to tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Take one foot, put it in front of the other. First of all, force yourself to get up. You have to get up first. And then you put one foot in front of the other. And finally, you'll find yourself taking strides. And you'll be walking. Mm-hmm. You're going to run. And you're going to understand that there's life out there. And it wasn't about you. Mm-hmm. You're hurting right now. You lost your mom, your dad, your sister, your brother, your child. But it's not about you. What you're going through right now is just your test for your testimony, because God's going to use you to help somebody down the road. Okay. And that's what I tell them.
I think that's a pretty powerful message. The last question is, what is good enough mean for you right now?
Right now for me, good enough is being able to have my husband love me unconditionally. And y'all say he do anything, and he will. Mm-hmm. To have my children love me, mm-hmm, and respect me. To have my grandkids, my son-in-law, my siblings. Just to have family that truly love you. And for have people that you can call and talk to on a friendly basis. Because sometimes you do want to share some things. I share everything with my husband. So y'all, if y'all tell me anything. Now, if you tell him, no. But just to have someone there that, it's just every day it's a joy to open my eyes and see another day. That's good enough for me. Mm-hmm. No matter what state I'm in. If I wake up every morning and I stretch out my legs and I can move, and even when I wake up in pain, I say, oh Lord, I can feel. That's a blessing to me. There's somebody that can't feel any pain.
Absolutely. I think that's a great outlook. And I think that maybe you guys have gotten some glimpse into why I have created Good Enough Today, and the foundation for which you kind of get this attitude of, okay, I'm going to try to make it through whatever you're going through. And so I just want to make sure that everybody understands that we are building a community here for us to be able to talk to each other, but find someone to talk to, find someone that can be that person for you, and understand that whatever you're going through, it will get better, and we will always stay hopeful for tomorrow, but we're absolutely good enough today.
For tomorrow, good enough today.